Hi, how are you going? So, if you have been trying your little heart out to lose weight and you are just not feeling like you're getting there, then here are some things that may be stopping you from losing weight, or shall we say body fat, because essentially that's what you should be trying to do in your effort to tone up, become more fit, more strong, more healthy. Scale weight is something that I think a lot of us get stuck into, the mentality of weighing ourselves. And when you weigh yourself on the scale, what you're actually seeing with that little number is your whole body composition. So we're talking water weight, we're talking body fat, muscle, your organs, your hair, your clothing if you happen to be wearing any, and that doesn't really give you a good indication of whether you're losing body fat, which is what you should be trying to do when you're wanting to lose weight. So it's a good idea to step away from the scale, and if this is perhaps what your gauge is on whether you are losing weight, I would seriously recommend not weighing yourself, because it's really not a good indication of the bigger picture. If you feel like you're not losing weight on the scale, then that could be why, particularly if you are doing resistance training and gaining lean muscle mass, because muscle weighs more than fat, but muscle is smaller, whereas fat takes up a bigger amount of mass, therefore makes you look bigger. So now we've got that cleared up on what you sort of verify as losing weight or body fat, we can move on to some other points. My first tip is, are you drinking or consuming high levels of sweetener? If you were like me, you may be substituting food for diet drinks. And what can happen when you consume a whole amount of this artificial sweetener is that your body can actually get confused, and it thinks that sugar is being consumed, and therefore your body goes into the phase of expecting sugar, and then all of a sudden it thinks, well, I'm getting these calories, but I don't know what they are and I don't know what to do with them. So your mind and your brain is all out of whack. And what can actually happen, according to some studies, is that your body starts burning sugar instead of fat. So it can actually change the way your body metabolizes your food in general. And also what they've found that sweeteners do is, in general, it makes you crave other sweet things. So in your effort to lose weight and cut sugar out of your diet, you could actually be making your body want more sugar. Therefore, it's going to be a lot harder for you to resist actual sugary treats. So my advice is, try and stay away from artificial sweeteners in general, and if you can't, then try and slowly phase it out by introducing a natural alternative like stevia or monk fruit, or even a lower glycemic sugar like coconut sugar or agave syrup. These are low glycemic sugar substitutes that don't confuse your body, basically. Next point is stress. Did you know that stress can actually make you put on weight? What happens when we get stressed is it makes the stress hormone cortisol affect our blood sugar levels. And when our blood sugar levels or insulin levels get high, what that does is it makes us again crave sugar. So you're either one of two people. You're either someone who loses their appetite when they're stressed, or their appetite increases when they're stressed. And if you're the latter of the two, then unfortunately the cortisol in your body is making you crave sugar and fat because they're comforting, and you're turning to food in these times of stress. Sorry about that. So if you can, try and avoid a stressful situation and try things like meditation. Yoga is fantastic. Even just talking to someone and clearing your head, getting a different perspective might help you with those stress levels. Okay, next point is hormones. Now, again, like cortisol is a stress hormone, things like hypothyroidism and polycystic ovarian syndrome can make it actually very hard to lose weight. And if you think you're doing all the right things in terms of getting healthier and losing body fat, and you think you're putting weight on, I would suggest going to see your GP and getting a test for these two things. And there could be some other issues like sleep apnea, which could be causing you to gain weight as well. So always, if in doubt, get checked by your GP. My next thing on my list is just general overeating. You might be thinking that you are making great progress in terms of better food choices, but let's face it, sometimes we're not that honest with ourselves. And the food that we eat while we're cooking, or we're standing at the fridge, or we're eating off other people's plates might actually not be computing. So the art of practicing mindful eating is actually really helpful, because if you are consciously always thinking about what is going in your mouth, then you'll have a better idea of how much food you're actually consuming in the day. A lot of us, when we get home from work and we're tired or stressed again, we will actually pick up food, start putting it in our mouth and eating while we're thinking of other things. Or maybe we're on our laptop or watching TV or playing a game, whatever. And we can really massively underestimate how much food we are eating. There's a really interesting show on in England called Secret Eaters, and it's really fascinating that, say for instance, a whole film crew followed you around for a week 24/7 and saw what you're actually eating. I'm pretty sure that most of us would be caught out eating way more than we actually think. Another thing to think about, if you have just started intense exercise, are you using that as an excuse to eat more? I have fallen into this trap a whole heap of times because I am training super hard and I'm slicing and dicing calories and I'm thinking, woohoo, my metabolism's raised, whatever I eat now at the moment won't matter because my body will burn it off. If you get into that mentality, what can actually happen is you're still eating far too many calories. Unfortunately, as much as I am an advocate for exercise, it doesn't actually give you permission to eat a hell of a lot more. If you look at the most simple things, like a chocolate bar might equal you running intensely for 30 minutes. A drink of wine might be the equivalent of power walking for 45 minutes. So don't quote me on that, but I just want to get you thinking about the equivalent to calories and how much effort it actually takes to burn them off. So that could also be why you are not losing weight as well. Next point, eating processed foods. If you are someone who hates vegetables and fruit, unfortunately it's going to be a lot harder for you to basically burn off what you're eating, because chances are it's a lot higher in calories, because processed and packaged foods have a heap of ingredients packed into them to make a very small amount of food. So you might feel that you're not eating an awful lot, and you probably aren't in terms of quantity, but you're actually eating a hell of a lot more calories as compared to someone who was eating a whole food diet. If you look out there on the internet, there are amazing resources when it comes to free recipes for delicious salads and foods made from, meals made from vegetables. Wow, it's like a whole new world, and it really is quite delicious. Sometimes you just have to experiment with different things and try different foods until you find something that you like. But if you can, it's the easiest way to fast track your health, because you're going to get optimal nutrition from fresh fruit and vegetables. And not only that, you can look at eating beans, things like quinoa, brown rice. These are all really what we call smart carbs, because they're unrefined whole foods, and they're just going to make you feel a lot better, give you a lot more energy, because they're a great nutritional source. So perhaps get out there on the internet, do your research, and see if you can find some recipes that include whole nutritional foods. Okay, next point. Are you strength training? Like I mentioned before, your objective should be to gain lean muscle mass. The less muscle you have, the slower your metabolism. And what can happen is when we diet, and diet alone and just do cardio, is we can actually lose muscle mass. And ladies, unfortunately, we lose muscle mass at a huge percentage every year, pretty much after the age of 30. Same with our bone density. So it's really important for us to include strength training exercises in our exercise routine. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym and start lifting heavy weights. You can get the benefits of strength training from some types of yoga and Pilates. You can do a really effective strength training routines at home using your own body weight, and you can check out some of my exercise videos for some of those examples. But it's so important for ladies to really lift. And please don't be concerned about bulking up. I've been training for years, and we really don't have the hormones or the testosterone to build heavy, bulky muscles. So, strength train. Another point to make is, are you doing cardio as well? So, as important as it is to strength train, it's also important to involve some cardio exercise as well. Now, cardio is anything that gets your heart rate up, the huffy puffy type exercise. So that can be running, it can be walking, it can be strength training moves that get your heart rate up. But if we don't do cardio, what can happen is we're not burning the body fat off. So we're building muscle, but we're not burning off the little amount of fat which is sitting on top of the muscle. I think that's what can happen to people when they start strength training, is that they think they're getting bulky, but in actual fact what's happening is they're building muscle, but they're not really burning fat at the same time. So yes, in fact you do look bigger, but it's just because the muscle's building and the fat is still there. So always combine your strength training and your cardio. Another important note to make is always do your strength training first before your cardio, because what will happen is your metabolism will get cranked while you're doing the strength training, and therefore you will burn through fat better and more efficiently once you start doing your cardio afterwards. Next point to make is sleep deprivation. Are you getting enough quality sleep? When we are overtired, again, our body goes into a state of stress, and we can start craving sugar and fat. And I know from my own experience that if I don't get enough sleep, I'm almost like in a state of uncontrolled hunger the next day, because my body's searching desperately for that energy and it thinks it needs it from food, when in actual fact we need to go back to sleep. So if you can, please try and get some quality sleep, and that means turning off all your digital appliances, apps, what are they called? Laptops, phones, TVs. Put them away and give yourself a good hour before bed to wind down and get yourself in a state of relaxation. Because what we do quite often, and I'm guilty of this, is that we go to bed with our laptop and our phone, and we're surrounded by all this stuff, this technology, and of course we're staying up a lot later than we really need to. So maybe try that tonight. Put away your gadgets, go to bed earlier than you normally would, and just lie there and maybe put on a guided meditation, or actually YouTube has some amazing ASMRs. If you don't know what ASMR is, it might change your life if you are an insomniac. I was a few years ago, and I discovered the ASMR community, and it really helped me. Now I'm pretty much obsessed with it, and I listen to people basically doing all kinds of strange things when you first watch it, but basically it works off the phenomenon that everybody has triggers that causes them to feel this deep sense of relaxation, like the shivers that you get when someone plays with your hair or tickles your back. And this community is basically devoted to offering people different triggers, different kind of role plays and relaxation to help them sleep or relax. So highly recommend it. Go check it out, ASMR, and there's so many people to choose from. You might just fall in love with it. Next tip is drink more water. Now I touched on this earlier when I was talking about fizzy drinks or diet drinks. A lot of us have fallen into that trap of drinking flavoured drinks instead of water, and our bodies really do need a certain amount of water to function properly. Your liver and your kidneys need water, and when we are dehydrated we can crave foods. We might think we're hungry when we're actually thirsty, so always try and keep hydrated if possible. And chances are, if you're drinking more water, then you're going to be drinking less beverages that could have calories in them that you don't really need, and maybe you're just drinking them out of habit. If you hate water, you can try herbal teas, and there are also some really good alternatives like flavoured fruit things you can add to water to give them a bit of a flavour kick. You can always try coconut water as well. That's a really great alternative, or cactus water, which I discovered the other day, but I prefer coconut water. Okay, next point, alcohol. Are you drinking too much booze? If you love a cheeky glass of wine or beer, just be conscious that when you're drinking alcohol, your body can only cope with metabolizing the alcohol. Your body sees the alcohol as a toxin. So what happens is it basically shuts down, can only focus on that one thing. So if you eat food while you're drinking, your body is basically going to go, nah, can't deal. I'm going to shove that into the fat stores so I can deal with this toxin first. So if you're having wine, say with your appetizers, no biggie. But if you have a big night of drinking and then later on you hit McDonald's or some other fast food outlet, you're not doing yourself any favours, because of course you've got the calories from the alcohol that your body's dealing with as well, and on top of that you've got all that fat and sugar that your body's going, shove it all in the fat store, can't deal with it. So if you are avoiding food, so maybe you're not eating much, you're dieting all through the week and you're thinking, yay for me, I'm going to have a big night out and I'm going to drink heaps and have a good time. Much as I too love to go out and have a good time and have a few drinks. Unfortunately, when it comes to fat loss, it's kind of your enemy. Womp womp. Sorry about that. But hey, if you want to live a fun and happy life, do what you want. But, you know, maybe just cut back a bit. Remember, always be trying to lose body fat, not scale weight. Scale weight will just mess with your head and it never actually tells you the whole picture about your health. So, I hope that's helped. And I'd love to hear your feedback, or if you've got any questions about what I've said today, fire them at me. And I'd love you to follow me on social media and subscribe.